The views and opinions expressed by the host of this show are his and his alone. They do not reflect the views of this network, his employer, any of the universities he attended, his family and friends or former roommates, any of the 5 Temptations, the 4 Tops, or any number of the Pips. They may or may not reflect the views of the other voices in his head. His dog, however, agrees with him 100%. And now, broadcasting live from a secure, undisclosed location deep in the heart of Texas, it's the Snarky Parenthetical. Here's your host. He's highly caffeinated and mildly irritated. Here's Lathan Watts.
All right, welcome back to the Snarky Parenthetical. I'm glad to have everybody. Easy for me to say. Glad to have everybody back. Hope you enjoyed the show so far. Thanks for tuning in. So let's get right to it. Today's show brought to you by Champ Kind's Whammy Chicken.
All right.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's mostly bats. Chicken's kind of expensive, but
It's inflation. It's hitting everyone.
I'm telling you, everybody's having to make do. Okay, there's supply chain issues. Okay, but apparently there's no shortage of bats. So,
right.
You know what they call bats? Chicken of the cave.
Everyone calls it. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so thank you, Champ Kind, for your sponsorship today. Do some news here. First story. The New York Times, that bastion of journalistic excellence, recently published an opinion piece that imagined new designs for the American flag. Yeah. The writer says, the American flag is a potent piece of national iconography, however you say it. You say tomato, I say tomato. But its design shifted frequently until the early 1900s. Well, newsflash, newsman, we were still adding states in the early 1900s.
Right.
Okay?
There was
all the way up until Alaska and Hawaii in the 50s. Okay?
Very logical reason for that, yeah.
Right. People weren't just sitting around going, yeah, let's just try something different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what if it were redesigned today? He asked graphic artists and designers to try. Yeah. So, one design shows the flag split into 4 rectangles, with one square consisting of red and white stripes, while the other 3 are solid blue, yellow, and green rectangles. According to the artist, the red stripes represent the past, the white stripes the future, the solid colors represent untapped potential and repairing systemic racism and taking care of our planet.
Wow, you knew it was coming, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as sure as the sun rises in the east. Another design, titled Lift Every Voice and Sing, merges several prominent flags, like the Don't Tread on Me flag and the Black Lives Matter, into one, while another monochrome gray one with stars represents, this might be my favorite / worst, represents America surrendering to its fall from power and loss of the ideals it once stood for.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I don't know about you, that certainly makes me want to stand up and pledge allegiance.
Right. We were not as great as we once
were.
To
the country that has fallen from its ideals.
Wow.
The designs were from the New York Times Snap Out of It America series, which calls for bold ideas on how to renew the American experiment. Well, here's another news flash for this news organization. The American experiment worked.
Right.
Okay? We don't need another one. Is it perfect? No. Are there things that need to be improved? Of course. Has there ever been a perfect nation? No. Because there's never been a perfect human being except for Jesus Christ. It is nonsense to think that human beings can be perfected and that therefore anything they create, like a nation or a culture, can be perfected.
Exactly.
It doesn't absolve you of the responsibility to try to make things better, okay? But the American experiment has worked. We're among one of the youngest nations in the world, and we are its most prosperous and free. So, thanks but no thanks, New York Times. Good Lord.
Yeah. Wow.
This, is in keeping with previous pieces run by this group of geniuses the New York Times editorial board. A recent one you might have come across where one of their editors did an editorial about how disturbing it was to see dozens of American flags on trucks owned by Donald Trump supporters during a trip to Long Island.
Wow.
Like, sorry you were triggered.
Huh.
Yes, there are God-loving, freedom-loving Americans, regardless of whatever you think of Donald Trump. There are Trump supporters, even in New York.
And just that tells you the perspective that they're coming from, right? That just seeing the national flag, could, to them in their minds, is symbolizing something negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And it goes back to like some stuff we've talked about on here before. When some hack like this tells you something is something, it is the exact opposite of that.
Right.
Whatever they say, oh, it's not about this, that's exactly what it's about.
Yep. It's not about your freedom.
No, the American flag is not a symbol of divisiveness. It is the one thing that we could all unite under if talent like the people at the New York Times editorial board would quit writing crap like this.
Right.
So.
Right. In a time when we need unity more than ever.
Yeah.
Let's not try and tear down the one thing that maybe we could unify under, right?
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe give that a shot. Okay. So, moving on. Let's keep with the woke nonsense for a little bit. Whole Foods.
Oh.
Whole Foods anti-racist messaging blows up in their face. This is a extremely accurate headline.
Okay.
Whoever wrote this one, good on you. Whole Foods is being brutally mocked for its attempt to connect. The high-end grocery store is known for its high-quality foods as well as its higher prices. Yeah, no doubt. You've been to a Whole Foods lately? If you want to pay $20 for a tub of potato salad, be my guest. But I got better things to do. Anyway, they put up a sign outside this Whole Food Markets that said, let me find the sign here, because I want to get the exact messaging right. Here it is. Racism has no place here.
Okay.
Was there anyone in America wandering around the streets of any city in America thinking, you know what? I bet there are some grocery stores where racism has a place.
Right.
Thank God Whole Foods let me know they're not one of them.
Uh-huh.
This is just the latest in a myriad of examples of a corporation virtue signaling, trying to show how woke they are, and being completely unself-aware.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's what they got brutally mocked for, as the headline says, because all the Twitter reaction was fantastic. Which, by the way, this is sort of the only thing that Twitter is good for.
Yeah.
Is completely taking down somebody when they do something this stupid.
Giving them their just desserts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the comment section on any article posted anywhere and Twitter, basically the intellectual sewer of America. Yeah. But once in a while they come through.
Right.
And boy, did they.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, some of the reactions were, oh yeah, that's why you've never put a Whole Foods in a black neighborhood.
Oh.
Racism has no place here.
Right.
Of course it doesn't. I mean, it's style over substance, whatever you want to call it, virtue signaling. Like I said, nobody thinks that racism has a place anywhere.
Right.
So why do you have to tell me that, oh yeah, it doesn't have a place here too?
Right.
It's like saying if you don't go out and announce to the world that the sky is blue, you somehow must think it's purple.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you have to say this. No, you don't. Just be a grocery store.
Right.
Sell your overpriced, frou-frou, tofu, whatever.
Exactly.
To the people that we know buy it. Okay.
Yep.
The affluent suburb soccer mom trying to avoid getting traded in for a trophy wife. And just be good with it, right? Just be who you are.
Be who you are. Exactly.
Know your audience.
There you go. Yeah.
How many people of any racial minority look at this sign and go, well, now I'm going to spend $45 on a thing of
now that I know they
antibiotic
really
chicken or whatever.
Right. It's more just you can tell that all it is that it's the feel good, it's not for the actual, because like they say, you're finding most of these in white, affluent, suburb
absolutely
kind of things. And it's just validating those people's wokeness / virtue signaling.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Yeah, it's a bunch of uptight rich white people trying to make themselves feel better about being uptight rich white people.
Right.
Oh, I'm not like all those other uptight rich white people because I said
different.
racism has no place here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So could probably do quite a bit more on that, but we'll move on.
Look up the Twitter comments for yourselves, people.
It's worth your time. Absolutely. Okay, and so we'll do one more and then kind of move on because this one is it's just too good not to. Again, the folks at Not the Bee finding all the great news out there. Attendees at British Music Festival Glastonbury were so loaded on drugs that their pee may have poisoned the local water supply.
What? Wow.
And it just gets better from there. Yeah.
I'm speechless.
Right. So there's this huge music festival at Glastonbury, and it's a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. Literally hundreds of thousands of people come to this.
Oh yeah.
And apparently they were so loaded on all sorts of substances that when they just wandered into the woods to relieve themselves, they actually contaminated the water supply. Like,
wow.
When you think we have plumbed the depths of human depravity, nope.
Think again.
Exactly. Yeah.
We still got a ways to go. We're finding new ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
It says researchers at Bangor University in Wales, I probably mispronounced that too, I'm on a roll today, discovered high levels of cocaine and ecstasy in the White Lake River, which runs through Worthy Farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where the hugely popular festival is usually held.
Okay.
And apparently the concentrations quadrupled the week after the 2019 festival. The ecstasy concentration, while the cocaine concentrations reached levels previously shown to affect the life cycle of European eels, which are apparently present in the river and an endangered species. So,
wow.
Yeah, if you're out there fishing on this river, you might want to look out for a bunch of coked up eels.
Because that's what the world needed
right
now.
Exactly. Like, we completely glossed over the murder hornets last year. Yeah. We talked about them for like a day.
Right.
Let's not do that for the coked up eels in England. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's just beware. Here's my public service announcement. If you're fishing on this river in England, there are
sharp eye up.
Exactly. There's eels revved up on coke and ecstasy. So who knows if that means they're going to try to like jump in the boat and kill you or mate with you. Maybe both. I don't know.
Right. All bets are off at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
all I want to say is no one. Let's not have this happen at I forget which festival it is down in the New Orleans area, but the Bayou,
New Orleans Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
there's several around the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's not try to one up our our distant cousins.
No need for that.
Yeah.
We can leave that over there. Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Had one other news story. Might come back to it. We'll see how the time goes. But let's move on here to a little entertainment news. We usually do in segment 2 some either sports or entertainment. And this is from the Hollywood Reporter. Dave Chappelle sets new Netflix comedy special, releases teaser trailer.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, bring it. The latest special is entitled The Closer, and Netflix put out a teaser trailer this week. Some good quotes in this little article here too, because Chappelle says comedians have a responsibility to speak recklessly. Sometimes the funniest thing to say is mean. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it to be funny.
There's a guy who gets it.
Right? I
Yes.
mean, even the article, from the Hollywood Reporter, which,
Right.
who would have thunk it? But, even they said if his quotes seem to be explaining the very concept of comedy itself, they might have something to do with the divisive reaction to his last Netflix special. It was largely condemned by critics who dubbed it offensive, particularly his jokes about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. Yet fans and many of the industry largely disagreed. Its Rotten Tomatoes audience score still stands at 99%, and the special won 3 Emmys, including for Best Writing for a Variety Special.
Yep.
I guess he's calling this the closer because this might be like his last one in his deal with Netflix because he's done several.
Okay.
But this guy is the king
Absolutely.
of comedy right now. I mean, there's nobody close to him.
Yep.
And maybe because he's been as successful as he has and he's sort of earned the I don't care money.
Exactly.
I don't care what you think anymore.
Yes.
Go ahead, try to cancel me.
Yep.
Kind of money.
Yep.
But this guy is fresh out of To Give.
Yeah.
Okay. And his last special,
Exactly.
he took the hide off everybody. And,
yeah.
And did it in a way that only he could, that even if you were the target, you were still laughing your rear end off. I mean,
Right.
This guy is so good at what he does. He is the standard for me that
Exactly.
anybody else doing stand-up should be measured by. And I think it's because maybe he's gotten to this point in his career where he can withstand kind of the woke mob and the cancel culture and all that he's likely one of the only people doing this kind of comedy anymore.
Yeah. True.
Because he's making points. Okay, he's talking about political things, he's talking about cultural things, and he's doing what good comedy does.
Yep.
He makes his point. He makes it in a way that he's not browbeating you with it. He makes you laugh really, really hard about it, even if you maybe feel a little guilty for laughing.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I mean, that was the genius of his show when he had it on Comedy Central, the 2 seasons that it was on.
Exactly.
It was some of the best satire and cultural comedy on the airwaves. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely cannot wait for this special to come out. I think it's coming out in October, it said.
And it's perfect timing with everything going on in the
Absolutely.
culture right now.
Absolutely. It says here, the closer premieres on Netflix on October 5th. So do not try to call me on October 5th.
Exactly.
I may take the day off. I don't know, from the day job. Also, along entertainment lines and premieres on Netflix, and I forgot to even tell you about this one for the show, but also in October, I don't have the date in front of me, but new documentary that I think is going to be actually in limited release in theaters, called You Belong Somewhere You Feel Free. And it is a documentary about the making of the Wildflowers album by Tom Petty.
Ooh.
And anybody who knows me knows.
Wow.
Again, don't try to call me on that day. I've got to find a theater that it's in and or pray that it ends up streaming.
Exactly.
The Wildflowers album is my favorite Tom Petty album. And it's technically called a Tom Petty album, not a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers album, because they had, either right prior to recording or actually during the recording, kind of fired the drummer, and we're kind of in between drummers. Okay. But it is still essentially a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Like, Ben Montench is on keys. I just blanked on the guitar player's name.
Campbell?
Mike Campbell.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite guitar players. Mike Campbell on lead guitar. And Ron Blair, I think, on bass. Yeah. So they were sort of in between drummers, so it was technically, I think, released as a Tom Petty record, like a solo project. Gotcha. But it's basically the band,
Right. It's the usual suspects for the most part,
And it is just an absolutely fantastic album. I remember when it came out and just listening to it start to finish and just could not wait to start it over. I mean, everything from the title track, Wildflowers, to You Wreck Me is on there.
Classic.
You Don't Know How It Feels.
Yep.
It's Good to Be King.
Yeah.
I mean, if it only had those 4 songs, it would be worth buying.
Yeah.
Good. And everything else on there is good.
Honeybee too, right?
Honeybee.
Yeah.
Yes. How could I forget Honeybee?
What a song.
Lord.
Yeah.
It's like I'm on all those drugs from Glastonbury or something.
No, that's the thing though. You can pick any 4, and it's classic songs all the way down.
Yeah. Honeybee is just.
Yeah.
Forget it. I mean, it's so good. It's just a classic. I'm in my garage with my teenage friends, and we're going to write a rock and roll song, and this is what comes out. Yeah. I mean, it's it's just killer.
The perfect raw rock and roll.
Yeah. So I'm eagerly anticipating this documentary. I think it was originally they had talked about like doing it at South by Southwest, and then I think South by Southwest last year canceled because of COVID or whatever, and production delays or whatever. But it is finally coming out, and awesome. I absolutely cannot wait. We might do a little movie review on the show when that one comes out.
Sounds perfect to me.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so there's our little entertainment segment. So segment 3 is typically where I talk about some things I'm mildly irritated about, and maybe irritated that you're not irritated. And I heard on the radio, on the news as I was driving over to do the show, that the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress got together to avoid a government shutdown. Well, hallelujah, the federal government's not going to shut down.
Right.
If there is one thing Republicans and Democrats can agree on, it is spending more of our money. And they come out that way, huh? Exactly, and they come out and do a little press conference about what a great bill it is. We're so glad we avoided a shutdown. Well, let me tell you something. I never sleep better than when my federal government is shut down.
Right.
Okay.
Whoever said that was the worst thing.
Yeah. Because number one, it doesn't shut down. Okay.
Sure.
Like my other cardinal rule, whatever they're telling you it is, it's probably not that. Okay. Right. When they say, "Oh, the government's going to shut down," that's not what happens. They send about 20% of the federal workforce home because they're non-essential.
Right.
And they don't get paid for a little while, but then they usually end up giving them back pay. Mm-hmm. Which to me, if you can send home 20% of the people working, then those 20% shouldn't have a job to begin with, maybe.
Right.
And if they didn't, maybe the bill to run the government wouldn't be so freaking high, and we wouldn't have to come up with this nonsense every few years.
There you go.
You know? Uh-huh. So one, the government doesn't shut down. Two, even whatever it does, like I said, I never sleep better than when it is shut down because their hands aren't in my pocket at that point.
Yep.
And so yeah, oh yay, we avoided a government shutdown. Now we can move on to trying to pass the new $6.5 trillion spending bill. Lord. Okay.
Wow.
And before all you Republicans, start talking about, how you're so proud, to fighting against this this reckless government spending, and it is reckless government spending.
Right.
But there were about 170 something Republicans that voted on whatever this thing was to avoid the government shutdown. Mm-hmm. I personally would have been, would have given you a little more credit if you would have just shut the government down.
Right.
And while we're at it, vote no on raising the debt ceiling, too.
Sure.
Oh, what a catastrophe that would be. Then we might force ourselves, the Congress, to actually, construct a budget that can be funded with the actual revenues.
Yes.
Like every other person in America when they do their own budget. Every other company in America when they do their budget.
Exactly.
No. Let's do something. We'll just say we can borrow more money and borrow more money. And then we'll spend some more money, and we'll borrow some more money.
Right.
$6.5 trillion spending bill. To say that our federal government spends money like a crackhead with a credit card would be an insult to the fiscal discipline of crackheads with credit cards.
That's true. It really is.
And it's bipartisan, okay? Neither party has the market cornered on this nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and we're now like second generation of this nonsense. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can go back to the New Deal.
Yep.
FDR and the New Deal, and then LBJ, not to be outdone, launches the Great Society.
Yes.
Even after seeing that the New Deal did nothing but lengthen and deepen the Great Depression, LBJ, not to be deterred, no, I'm going to capitalize on the New Deal and I'm going to create the Great Society.
Right.
Part of which is I'm going to launch a war on poverty, which succeeded in one thing. The number of people that live beneath the poverty line is still roughly the same as before the Great Society programs were put in. The only thing it succeeded in doing is transferring about a couple of $1 trillion from people who work for a living to people who vote for a living. And so anybody comes to a microphone and starts complaining about overspending and acting like they're a fiscal hawk, I'm not buying it.
Right.
Until I see some real action, some real work done to reduce the actual size and scope of the federal government and the budget, and do something realistic that could actually start lowering the amount of money that we spend.
Right.
Then I'll listen to you about how ticked off you are about this $6.5 trillion. And look, I'm not saying it's not absurd. It is absurd.
Sure.
And speaking of absurd, Jen Psaki the other day said it would be immoral and absurd for corporations to raise their prices if they raise tax rates on corporations.
What?
Immoral and absurd for companies to raise their prices if we raise their taxes.
Huh.
If you are ever looking for a clear indication that someone has never worked in a real job before in their life, they say something like that, there you go.
Yep.
And look, we've got a president, a Senate Majority Leader, and a Speaker of the House who have never had a real job.
Exactly.
Not one of them has ever spent a day in the private sector. And it shows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, the term career politician was made for these people.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They
Right.
don't, and that's what makes their, that the gall to, because here's the thing, I wouldn't mind if they just kind of admitted what their ideology really is. Like, we're just in it to, and whatever it really is. The thing is, the gall to tell the American people that they really care about the little guy.
Right.
That's what I can't stand. Is we care about the business owner. We care about you and your family and your children going to school and growing up with a better.
Yeah.
It's like,
pay no attention to the inflation rate, by the way.
Right.
Working man, because that's a tax on poverty. Because it robs you of the value of the money that you do earn. Your salary or your hourly wage doesn't change, but the cost of everything else goes up.
Right.
And that's exactly what spending money like this does.
Yes.
And then, to use your word, the gall of calling it an infrastructure bill.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
We can agree, all right? There's some roads and bridges in this country that need to get fixed. Okay?
Right.
That's infrastructure. You don't need $6.5 trillion to do it.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I could probably do an entire show just on that bill and all the crap that's in it. Raising the corporate tax rate, reducing the threshold to start paying the estate tax, the death tax, basically. Taxing unrealized capital gains. I mean, that's theoretical money. It doesn't even do anything for you yet.
Right.
Now we're going to tax that too.
Just in case this ever becomes a thing. Let's
Right.
make sure it's
just
taxed.
Just on paper you made money. I know you haven't put any in your pocket and you haven't done anything with it yet. It's an unrealized capital gain, but we're going to tax it anyway.
Right.
The death tax. After you've paid income tax on that money that you earned, and then if you invested it, paid capital gains tax or a theoretical capital gains tax according to them. You managed to somehow keep some money after a lifetime of that to try to leave to your kids and grandkids. Nah, we're going to tax that too.
Yep. Yep.
It's I'm running out of words, or at least I'm running out of words that I can say on this show.
Right. Right.
But anyway,
suffice to say,
I'm mildly irritated. If you picking up on that, because I'm laying it on pretty thick.
oh man, coming through loud and clear, I would say.
Yeah. I'm an equal opportunity offender on this one. Republicans are just as much to blame as the D's are.
Yep. Yep.
Like I said, you show me some real work on this, and then I'll listen to your talking points about how the other side is so fiscally irresponsible.
Right.
The last president to leave office with a workforce and budget smaller than he started with was Calvin freaking Coolidge.
It's a long way back to go.
Yeah. Also, why he's one of my favorite presidents.
There you go.
But
Underappreciated.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely underappreciated. Yes. Amity Shlays wrote a fantastic biography of Coolidge. It's about that thick. It is not a light read, but it's excellent. Everybody go read it.
That's a good recommendation.
So there's just a little bonus book recommendation for this episode, I guess.
There you go.
All right. I think we're running up on time here. Thanks for listening, watching. Check us out on all the places where you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple iTunes, anywhere else. Episodes are being loaded there too. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back. It's the Snarky Parenthetical on JPK.